Welcome, everyone. I'm Laura DeFranco, the CEO of Brave Healer Productions, where we publish world-changing wellness books with a mission to wake the world up to what's possible. And here today to help me with that mission are Stephanie Urbina Jones and Jeremy Pager, the authors of and superpowered healing team of a new book we have coming out. This is called Shaman Heart, Turning Pain into Passion and Purpose. Welcome, you guys.
Hello. It's
Hello.
great to see you all.
Thank you.
All right, so you guys got to introduce yourselves to the world here. Tell us a little bit about how you got to doing what you do in the world.
My name is Stephanie Urbina Jones, and I'm honored to be the lead author of Shaman Heart, Turning Pain into Passion and Purpose. My passion is transformation. I love to watch people and things grow. I feel like I'm a dream doula, and I'm the co-founder of Freedom, Folk, and Soul, a transformational community of the healing arts. We lead power journeys, sacred journeys of transformation all over the world.
All
I'm
right,
also
Jeremy,
I'm also a singer.
I think you should probably tell everyone about that.
Well, one of my passions is being a dream doula to my own dreams. As a little girl, I longed to sing with mariachis, and so I made history with my honky tonk mariachis playing the Grand Ole Opry, you guys.
There are a lot of interesting little tidbits and factoids about Miss Stephanie Urbina Jones, and she doesn't always tell us everything, you guys. So you're going to have to go and check out the website later because there's some really awesome things to know about Stephanie. Jeremy, what do you want to add in terms of introducing yourself?
So my name's Jeremy Pager. I think what really got me, I'm a co-founder of Freedom, Folk, and Soul, and we have spent the last 4 years really taking our 40 years of well, getting close to 50 years of combined, wisdom and personal work and growth, creating Freedom, Folk, and Soul, and really helping folks transform their lives. And more importantly, my passion is really helping people be the teachers, the best teachers that they can be in the world and really sharing their message. But I came to this work from my own pain, my own dysfunction. Like many of us, I had, beautifully broken, dysfunctional parents that, and I say that with grace, I smile. They just were equipped with giving me something that they didn't have, and so I learned how to medicate in all sorts of ways and avoid and disassociate, and underneath all that was my desire to be a teacher. To I had a purpose and a passion underneath that kept driving and driving and driving, and I had to get beat down enough in all of that, enough pain to just surrender and ask for help, and that's really what led me down this path for the last 21 years now of kind of holistic, healing and transformation and shamanism. And I would like to say I never looked back. There was a few moments that I decided to jump back into old behaviors or whatever, to test those waters. But more or less, I've been teaching for 20 years now. So, and that was
Well,
my passion and purpose.
thank Thank you both for stepping up so courageously to tell your own personal stories in this book. I know that it was not an easy task. And sometimes when I collaborate with master healers and teachers, all of the garbage comes up in terms of I'm not good enough to write a book or a chapter. And I know you guys both went through versions of that. I know. And that's, really part of my journey as a publisher. That means a lot to me that you felt that fear and you did it anyway. And I think that's part of the definition of a shaman heart. But Stephanie, maybe you could start first on this one. What does it even mean to have a shaman heart?
A shaman's heart is you've hit a point in your life, some kind of crossroad, and you're either willing or you just have to take a step into the dark and into following the red thread down to the root, the core of where that's coming from. And you have the courage to excavate and chisel out your soul and to come forward. We use the word rebirth to dream a new dream, to have more personal power, more personal freedom. And in doing so, you have that compassion, that understanding, and that deep wisdom that you can then walk with others. And you have a shaman heart.
We gathered a few of them for this book project. I'm going to ask you to talk about all of our co-authors in a minute. But Jeremy, what would you add to that in terms of how that has meaning for you personally, having a shaman heart?
Well, I think I want to say that, shaman is a loaded word and it has lots of different definitions by lots of different people. And to me, the biggest thing, I think that we all are shamanic. I think that was shut down for a lot of us, um, and, we have a saying like turning our wounds into our medicine. And I think when you are able or willing or ready to really step up, um, and say, you know what, I don't know what to do with all this pain. I don't know what's not working, but I'm willing to kind of take my heart out and lay it on the altar, you know, and have that courage and willingness, or use courage lightly because sometimes we just get to that point. There's no other choice but to do that, where we can really kind of walk through the shame. We can turn our wounds into our medicine, and we become the medicine men or the medicine women. We become shamanic in a sense, if you want to use that word. Um, I mean, I love the whole shaman heart concept, and I'm also aware that for some people that word is you know has different definitions. So,
Yeah, which is why I appreciate you both answering the question. And also, it's why I love collaborative projects like this, because we have all the different voices, and the world needs all the definitions and all the voices and all the uniqueness, of those messages. So, okay, the subtitle, Turning Pain into Passion and Purpose. So when you guys think of this, I know that you feel very strongly about the fact that your pain is there for a reason. And if people would wake up inside of their pain and realize it's an opportunity, it's actually a gift, right? That's part of this. So how important has that been in your own life? Take us on a little bit of that journey for you guys personally.
Well, for me, as you'll read in my chapter, I am Latina, I'm Mexican American, but many people didn't know that. So I was born into a bicultural home in Texas. And then to protect me, I was told to not be who I was. Don't be Mexican. Don't tell anybody who you are. And that may seem like no big deal today, but back then, for a little girl, it made a huge agreement to not be who I was, to hide, and to feel shame. So this became my lifelong journey of discovering um, and learning how to love and then celebrate my culture, including, now what I do as a singer, as a teacher. I carry these indigenous traditions from Mexico and lead journeys in Mexico. And so it's just, for me, that was my specific path. But I really do believe when Jeremy and I say, when we've worked with over hundreds of people,
thousands.
ultimately, every person that we've worked with, if we track down to that point of origin where there's the most sacred wound, the most sacred pain, if they follow that thread, that sacred longing, and come forward, there is their passion, there is their purpose, and their compassion and their wisdom that only they can carry and share with the world.
Yes. All right. So Jeremy, you want to add anything to that amazing explanation?
Yeah, I don't know if I need to add too much. I guess what I'll say is, the book, Turning Pain into Passion and Purpose, like, that's kind of what we do, and we've walked with many people, but it was really a beautiful process. And I don't want to give away my whole chapter, but, as we stepped into this, um, my doubt showed up, and that was a beautiful thread right to this part of me that had this like underlying secret dreams as a child, and somehow like that passion and purpose was ultimately stronger than my doubt. And so over and over again, life brought me up to that threshold to kind of step into that. And So yeah, I think that's probably the only piece I will add. I don't want to, say the whole chapter. You get to read
It's
it to
so
get the whole
good.
chapter.
They are they are so good. And that's I think one of the qualities of the I call it purpose driven fear. It cycles back for you to hit it again. Like it's not given up. It's going to come up, it's going to surface, and it's like there in your face, and that's a good thing. Sometimes it feels annoying, but it's a good thing, I think. Okay,
Happening
so
for us, not to us.
exactly. That is exactly right. I love that attitude of living.
Yeah.
That is a game-changing way to think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not always easy to do, but definitely a game-changing way to
And I have to
think.
say, what is this most super cool thing is to see and witness the transformation in people's lives when they have the courage to go in and excavate and come forward with their personal freedom, their ability to dream and to follow that dream forward and to live it is that's that's it.
Okay, well, speaking of that, we did something amazing, if I do say so myself.
Yes.
And that was this first time thing for me as a publisher. We took your group of authors to Mexico, to the Dreaming House, to Teo, and we guided them on this first author's journey. You two held a incredible sacred space for these authors to do their work of healing, and then in combination with this book project that we were there to celebrate and kick off, we, I think, created something just phenomenal, stellar. Like I got back from the trip and thought, all right, how are we going to do that one again? Because it was just so evident that the bonding and the energy and the everything about this, right? So talk about this experience for you as teachers. How was this for you both? And tell us a little bit about this thing we did.
Well, it started with you because I got the
Sacred yes.
opportunity to work with you, and some light, some inner knowing came on like, I want to work with this woman. Something happened and alchemized in me when I met you. And soon after, this dream dropped in that, oh my goodness, to take 26 authors to the pyramids of Teotihuacan, this creation, this womb of creation, and to journey and then to write from that place with our intent. And so there was the dream and your sacred yes. And we showed up. We kept following it, in the midst of the pandemic. And there was snowstorms and there was fires in Colorado and there was all these canceled flights, but it was meant to be and I could feel it. And so we held this container over a week of journeying, sacred initiation, ceremonies, and it was just amazing. It was amazing.
Hard to describe the week, really. I mean, I keep using the A words: amazing, awesome, like and it's hard for us to really give our listeners a feel of that sacred magic that was created. But when you all read this book, Shaman Heart, I know that you will be infused with the energy as you're reading the words. That's how I see what we did as a special gift to the reader of this book. And it will forever change every book project that comes after yours,
Oh,
because of the way that I understood people coming together. Now, it's not possible to bring every group together physically, but it is possible to set the energy container and the intention and do it in a ceremony, in a ritual, which is what you two are experts at. So I'd love for you to tell everyone a little bit more about your work, the retreats you lead, and what you're up to.
You want me to answer?
yeah.
So I started saying this before, but me and Steph both came to this work through our own healing, and about 5 years ago, we both kind of came together and created a company called Freedom Folk and Soul, which is our nonprofit, healing spiritual organization. And so we have a few different programs and things that we do with people that are to kind of help, again, like I was saying a moment ago, when people are at that crossroad, and they know that what they've been doing is not working, or maybe, it's like it's past, like, well, is this as good as it gets? They're at some place in their life, some crossroads. And really, people come to us, and mostly we get to hold them, hold them and be witness to their process, and kind of hold their faith, um, and belief in them until they're ready to believe in themselves, and take that freedom. So we have, a whole ministerial training program where we teach people how to do weddings and funerals and rites of passage. You're talking about us being ceremonialists in a sense, or ritualists in a sense. And so we have the kind of that, that avenue. We also teach people how to do breath work, and become kind of spiritual teachers, holistic teachers in the world.
I,
I can
I,
see you want to say
yeah,
something. Go ahead,
I kind of
please.
see us as spiritual adventure guides.
Yeah, well, there you
You
go.
know, really, it's what I found. I did 15 years of traditional therapy, and I understood my wounds. I understood why I was the way I was, but I couldn't release, I couldn't transform that energy. And it really became these sacred journeys, adventures, whether they were in Nashville in our home, or in a sacred spot, or Peru or Mexico, with the intention of transforming our lives and living our dreams. I believe that those seeds that are in our souls that we keep dreaming about are meant to be. We just have to have the courage to continue to chisel away.
And you said dream doula earlier when you introduced
Yes.
Yeah.
yourself, which I loved.
Yes.
Yes. So, there's Nashville and then there's Teo. Like, there's a reason that you took us to this sacred place on the planet. Can you just talk about that for a minute?
I can talk about that. So it was 20 years ago. I was in the heart of my addiction, and I showed up at a treatment center. I was broken, and I walked into that treatment center, and I said this in the book, and I said, tell me what I need to do to live, or I'm going to die. Like I had the best I could come up with was, I couldn't make it. And I was lucky at that time that this particular treatment center was bringing in all of Don Miguel Ruiz's original apprentices, and they were coming in every weekend. And this stuff was very strange to me, ceremonies and things. I grew up in Massachusetts, with an Italian family, and I like to say, like, it was like a Sopranos episode, I swear. And these two teachers, showed up, and they just, regardless of all the bad choices I had made and all the wreckage I created, they just loved me for who I was, not who I was supposed to be, or what I defined myself as. Like, there was no expectation. And so they were going to this place called Teotihuacan in Mexico, which was the place of, like, the Pyramid of the Sun and Moon, and maybe people have heard of it, maybe not, but it really stands for where man becomes God, or where man recognizes our divinity, in a sense, and the translation is not exact, but I just went. They said, we're going in a month. I actually left the treatment center because they were part of the staff, and showed up in Mexico and was wide eyed, and I transformed. I didn't understand it necessarily, but, like, I could feel the community, I could feel the love. You talked about us coming together in such a beautiful container. Um, and I fell in love with the place, and some part of me recognized it. Um, so um, that's, 20 years later, I've been to Teo many, many times with many, many groups, and that was really when we talked about doing this book. It was, yes, that's where we should go to bring this group together.
And for me, Teo is a living being, and that's what happened. You take the journey from death to rebirth. Those things that are not working in your life, there's a ceremony and a way and a journey to walk through the avenue of the dead to these sacred places, to, you know, look at your agreements with your mother and your father and women, and the whole journey is about transforming your life. You cannot help but go into this vortex of transformation and be changed. And every time we lead a journey, every time I go as a participant, every single time I have more and more freedom.
I'm so happy you used the word vortex because I was just about to say if listeners don't know what that is, these sites have energetic vortexes that are palpable. And I had experienced some of those in Sedona, Arizona, at a point, and back in Teo, I was reminded of the feeling of a vortex, right? So you just use that word too, which is perfect. So you guys Google vortex, okay? You'll get your definition. Okay, you're talking about the group, and I really want to go there for a minute. What would you like to say about the expert teachers, master teachers that stepped up, said yes? So I want to say thank you to all of you if you're watching this. To write for Shaman Heart, what message do you have for this group of amazing men and women?
Personally, I am so humbled to have walked with you, to have written with you, danced with you, walked on fire with you. Each one, I have fallen in love with each one of these authors, and I have so much respect. It was so humbling to lead this journey with each of the folks that were called to it. Every single one, an expert in their field, a spiritual leader, a minister, and they were just amazing. Every person showed up with their heart ready to lay it on the altar of Teo and to continue to transform. And that is what makes an amazing teacher to me, that humility and that passion to continue to chisel away to their own freedom and truth.
Well, you stole everything, I would say.
Well, I'll make the comment that I have rarely seen the entirety of a group step up, all of them. Not one person didn't show up for what we were there to do in terms of just bringing themselves and not really even knowing what to expect, but they still showed up. And they had, whether they felt the fear or not, they still showed up, and we came together in circle and everyone showed up. And it was, for me, it was really a profound experience. I have had many, over 30 years worth of transformational healing experiences, but this particular one left me with a longer period of processing. I know you guys know what I'm talking about. So maybe you want to just touch on that for a moment, about that process of coming together. There's something very special about that.
Can you answer that? Because I'm not really.
Well, and what happens is there's that sacred yes. There's that something that I believe is almost written in the stars meant to be. And when those souls are called, when those people are called, they know it and they say yes. And that particular group comes together to create a sacred container. Um, and that collective energy then creates its own energy and its own intent. And so there we were with you, the brave healer publisher, guiding us and our understanding of these energies of Teo and their intent with their heart and their humility, even being again as profound, wise leaders as they already are. And so that coming together created a whole nother vortex of intention and transformation, and connection between all of us.
And you're making me realize that, sorry, Jeremy, I'll say this thing about love. They stepped up in love, as love, for love. And they didn't let anything stop them from being that for everybody. So Jeremy, what were you going to say about that?
Well, I mean, I think it started at everybody's sacred yes, and a lot of people heard the idea of the book and they were an instant yes. They never had met me or Steph, some may knew you from other projects. But like Steph mentioned this, in the heart of a pandemic, canceled flights, everything. I mean, it was unbelievable that all 26 people showed up in Mexico on time. And to me, that speaks to the bigger intent. Intent was working. There was a force. This book was supposed to happen. And this group of people were supposed to come together. And to me, that's part of a big chunk of the healing is to, be witnessed and be in community and to walk with each other. And it was humbling, to be, kind of holding, and that's what I would say to people is like I have such gratitude and respect and just reverence that we got to hold this container and that everybody did like fully show up.
Amazing.
Because often it's you see it a lot, but people sometimes they as teachers or whatever, they don't do their own work, and every single person fully did, went into process. And the reading reflects, I mean, the writing reflects that, as and I've never wanted to read so many people's stories in my life. And that's saying a lot, like I fell in love with everybody,
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to read some of the stories. So
We were all transformed. Every
yeah,
single person has been transformed from this experience. And, I just want to say that, Laura, that starts with you. Because every time I work with brave healers and you, something is up leveled in me and invited into myself every time.
You. I think we brought a couple of superpower energies together and something went crazy.
right.
Something good went crazy.
And it was personal work for us. It was
Yes.
transformation. I mean, just the process of, writing our stories and really thinking about that pain to purpose became a workshop in itself. So it was like double whammy workshop, Yeah.
Well, I've been saying since the beginning of the collaborations that something much bigger than me is running this party. And so, as long as we connect with that and listen and follow those divine instructions, right? How could we go wrong? There's no doubt that it just felt like such a miracle that it all happened. And oh man, we cannot wait to share this book with you all. Well, I've got some details about that in just a moment, but for both of you, let's wrap up with one more question. Okay, so there are people listening to this interview and they're excited about Shaman Heart, but they might just be stepping on to a shamanic healing journey, a healing journey. Give them an idea of what you think would be a very easy entry point, something very simple to start with if maybe they're struggling right now.
Well, I would invite them to reach out to us. I would invite them to go to our website, freedomfolkandsoul.org, and check out our sacred journeys. Some of them are 3 or 4 hours on Zoom. Some of them are series of shamanic counseling courses. Some of them are, if you really want to dive in, if you are ready to rock your life, literally make a change, because it happens every time. Look into the Toltec Medicine Wheel of Transformation, which is 7 initiations through the medicine wheel of your life, recapitulating and bringing back some of these parts of ourselves and that we might have lost along the way, or the journey of life. And we teach that in Mexico and Teotihuacan, and we also teach that somewhere in the U.S. And just keep up with us. Sign up on our email list, because we're doing things, creating things all the time. And even a beginner is a master. Your soul knows. If you're feeling like something's ready to change, that is your mastery of intent. Um, so don't be afraid to jump into a big journey.
Um, so I might answer that a little more simply, and I agree with everything that Steph said. But if you're at that place, I think one of the most important things in all of this work, in all this journey, and if you do come and work with us, or you see, is grace, 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 grace. Like you are a beautiful survivor, and most of what you do and those behaviors and that acting out was your way of learning how to survive in the world. And I know there's so much, for so many of us, so much shame associated with those behaviors, or the frustrations, or oh, here I am again, or the wreckage. Is to really have grace, then ask for help. We need help. We need a mirror. We need a teacher. We need somebody that can really see us for who we are and love us without condition, you know? And then step in, step in. We say kicking and screaming sometimes, right? Like you don't have to want to be there for it to work, right? Physically get yourself in a class or in front of somebody or a journey or whatever it is. Go for it. The only thing we have, it's like time. Time is precious, and your freedom is worth it. So that's how I would answer that
That's
question.
awesome, Jeremy. I love that.
I like what you just said. You don't have to want to be there for it to work. So get over yourself and just get there.
Yeah. That's what you say. Just get your butt in the seat, like.
Totally. You said something actually a bit ago too that I'm going to repeat. It's a question that people might say to themselves. And if you can recognize this question, that it came out of your mouth, you might just pause and take a breath and go, oh, right. And it was, is this as good as it gets? And we are here to tell you, no, this isn't as good as it gets. And we're going to show you how good it can be. So if that's a question, Jeremy, you said that question earlier, if that's a question that's coming up in you, then that might be like, okay, what else is possible? And that's what I'm here to help people understand. So Stephanie, Jeremy, thank you so much for what you do in the world and for being here to share it with everyone.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Laura. We're so
Right back at you.
grateful to have crossed your path and to work with you. Thank you. It's truly a gift.
So everybody remember, you can join us for our live stream book launch party, April 13th at 10 a.m. Eastern. I'm going to gather with Stephanie and Jeremy and all of our Shaman Heart authors so they can share their wisdom with you. We're going to be doing that on the Brave Healer Productions Facebook page, which I have hooked up down below in the notes. And if something that Stephanie or Jeremy talked about today just really is making you spark up and vibrate a little bit, well, then go explore, because their website is down there too. And they are very generously here for you, to support you, to answer your questions, to take you on one of those adventures, right? And of course, if you're all listening after April 13th, then that means our book is ready. You just need to get over to Amazon and grab your copy. So lastly,
just saying.
Yeah, yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, yes, yes. Lastly today, everyone, I've got a question for you. One more question. What if there's something you haven't learned yet that could change everything? This book has that. It's time to be brave. See you next time, everyone. Bye, you guys.
Bye.